Welcome to our video. Today we are going to explain two of the most popular language teaching approaches, the 3PS approach, and compare and contrast it with task-based learning. So what are these two English language teaching methods? The 3PS approach to language teaching is the most common modern methodology employed by professional schools around the world. During an initial teacher training course, most teachers become familiar with the PPP paradigm.
I'm going to talk to you today about the PPP triangle. This is a method of organizing.
PPP stands for Presentation, Practice, Production, an approach to language teaching. It is very important to understand what presentation, practice, and production really are. As the name suggests, there are three stages, and how they work in combination to create effective communicative language learning. As the name suggests, there are three stages. During the presentation stage, this phase is controlled by the teacher. The teacher might use a text, an audio tape, or visual aids to demonstrate a situation. From this, here the teacher is introducing the language form to her students. Let's see an example.
And what is she doing? Yes? She's hopping. Yes, she's hopping. She's hopping like this. I can hop. I can hop. Can you hop? Can you hop, Kika?
Yes.
Yes, I can. Can you hop, Andrei?
Yes, I can.
And you, Sabina?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good.
During the controlled practice phase, students practice repeating or writing the language structure correctly. Typical practice activities include drills, multiple choice exercises, cap and cue exercises, transformations, etc. In this phase, the teacher's role is to direct the activities, to provide positive feedback to the students, to correct their mistakes, and to model the correct form.
Swim. Yes, I can. Can you do this?
Now, the students are practicing the language form.
Can you hop? No, I can't.
In the production stage, the students use a newly learned language structure to produce oral or written text. Typical production activities include dialogues, oral presentations, and the production of sentences, paragraphs, or longer text. The teacher does not generally intervene or correct in this phase. After all, the students should not make mistakes by now. If mistakes are made, they are pointed out after the exercise has finished. Weaknesses of PPP. It all sounds quite logical, but teachers who use this method will soon identify problems with it. First, it's very controlled and can be very teacher-centered. Then, the production stages don't necessarily involve real communication. Teachers also notice that students will often produce the language but overuse the target structure so that it sounds completely unnatural. And lastly, with PPP, it is necessary to create context in which to present the language, and sometimes they can be very unnatural. The strengths of PPP. The PPP approach is relatively straightforward and structured enough to be easily understood by both students and new or emerging teachers. The effectiveness of PPP method is in its simplicity. The language is presented in the context. Language is practiced in a safe environment where it's harder to make mistakes.
What does task mean? In some books, the word task has been used as a label for various activities, including grammar exercises, practice activities, and role plays. These are not tasks in the sense of word use in task-based learning. In TBL, tasks are always activities where the target language is used by the learner for a communicative purpose or goal, in order to achieve an outcome in which the emphasis is on exchanging meanings, not producing specific language forms. What is task-based learning? Task-based learning is a different way to teach languages. It can help the student by placing him or her in a situation like in the real world. A situation where oral communication is essential for doing a specific task. Task-based learning has the advantage of getting the student to use his or her skills at his or her current level. To develop language through its use, it has the advantage of getting the focus of the student toward achieving a goal where language becomes a tool, making the use of language a necessity. According to Jane Willis, TBL consists of the pre-task, the task cycle, and the language-focused post-task. Pre-task stage. The teacher explores the topic with a group and highlights useful words and phrases. The teacher uses pictures, posters, and demonstrations. The teacher explores the topic with a group that could be used by exploitation of a picture or by watching a video clip or by looking at a text. The teacher and students brainstorm the topic by making a list, comparing ideas, and sharing experiences. Then, the teacher will activate language by eliciting and providing vocabulary. The importance of preparing learners thoroughly is necessary for rehearsing the task in order to recycle the language and familiarize learners with the context as much as possible. If the previous stage involved brainstorming words connected with a topic, this stage could involve learners in a discussion of their attitudes to it and preparing their arguments for a debate or their ideas for a leaflet to draw people's attention to the issue. The activities done in this stage are:
So, is the United States of America a good country to live in? Nancy, what do you think?
Yes, I think so. Compared to Mexico, it's kind of quiet.
It's quiet. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So all countries have social problems, right? Crime is one of them. But today, what we are going to do is we are going to have the opportunity to create our perfect society. And what do you think that is called? If you had a perfect country, a perfect place.
The magic world.
A magic world, very good. Fantasy. If there were a perfect place, a dream world, this would actually be called utopia. You guys have heard that? So what we are going to do is we're going to go and split up into groups, and you guys are going to create your own utopia, your own island. Okay. You will also have a worksheet that will give you some examples of what you can put.
task cycle. This part of the task cycle will mirror as closely as possible an authentic undertaking in which participants will be carrying it out. In this stage, students are supposed to be working with and using the target language. Activities like pair work, group work, exercises and information gap activities gradually increase the importance of planning report presentation. Post-task. While the task is being carried out, the facilitator may wish to make notes on the language selecting, identifying and classifying common words and phrases. The facilitator may also wish to conduct a feedback session to discuss the success of the task and consider suggestions for improving it. Evaluation of the task will provide useful information for facilitators when planning further tasks.
Okay, so now what we are going to do is each group is going to come up and present their own utopia, their perfect society.
This is our perfect society. And the name of the island is Paradise.
Our country name is Kingdom of Dream Island.
The name of our city is Happy Land.
Only the transportation is vehicle, no motor.
No motor.
No
so
motor.
do they have
only,
cars?
Only bicycle, walking, or the other transportation.
What are the strengths of TBL? Unlike a PPP approach, the students are free of language control. In all three stages, they must use all their language resources rather than just practicing one pre-selected item. A natural context is developed from the students' experiences with a language that is personalized and relevant to them. The students will have a much more varied exposure to language with TBL. They will be exposed to a whole range of lexical phrases, collocations, and patterns as well as language forms. The language explore arises from the student's needs. This need dictates what will be covered in the lesson rather than a decision made by the teacher or the course book. It's a strong communicative approach where students spend a lot of time communicating. PPP lessons seem very teacher-centered. By comparison, just watch how much time the students spend communicating during task-based lesson. It is enjoyable and motivating. What are the weaknesses of TBL? Some learners revert to mother tongue when things get difficult or if the group feels impatient. There is a risk for learners to achieve fluency at the expense of accuracy. Some learners tend to get caught up in trying to find the right word and do not worry over much about how it fits into the discourse. There is naturally more concern for use of lexis and lexical chunks than for grammar and grammatical accuracy. Thanks for watching.